Hello, welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to be learning professional report writing and documentation. We will cover penetration testing reports, vulnerability assessment reports, executive summaries, and remediation recommendations. Your technical skills mean nothing if you can't communicate findings effectively, and that is the essence of this lesson. Now, why does this matter? Here is something most people don't realize. Technical work is only 40% of penetration testing. Report writing is 60% of the deliverable. The best pen test in the world is worthless without a clear and actionable report. Your reports are legal documents. They are used for compliance audits, remediation tracking, and liability protection. Your report represents your professionalism and credibility as a security professional. Now, who reads your report? There are three different audiences that read your report. The first one is the executive leadership. This includes the likes of CEOs, CTOs, and CISOs, and they read it to know the high-level business risks and financial impact for the organization. They want to know if they are secure, what the priority is, and what is the cost. They don't understand technical jargon. The second set includes the technical teams like IT, DevOps, and engineering. They need detailed vulnerability descriptions and exact reproduction steps. They want to know how to fix issues and what specific configurations to change. They understand technical details more than the executive leadership. The third set is compliance and audit teams. And they need evidence of security controls and testing, so they need to read your report. They want to know if you meet standards like PCI DSS, HIPAA, or ISO 27001. They focus on frameworks and requirements. The key principle here is this: one report, multiple audiences. That is, a single report can be read by multiple groups of people. So you must structure it for both executives and technical teams. This is why professional report writing is a critical skill in cybersecurity and IT in general. Let's consider the penetration testing report structure. A standard penetration testing report has 5 main sections. The first one is the executive summary. This contains 1 or 2 pages maximum. It is a high-level overview for non-technical leadership. It includes the overall security posture, rated as excellent, good, fair, or poor. It summarizes critical findings in business impact terms, not technical details. It also provides risk ratings and prioritization. And lastly, it gives key recommendations in business language. The second section is the scope and methodology. This should just be a one page. Here, you are going to document what was tested, the IP ranges, applications, systems, and networks. You will document what was not tested and was out of scope. You are going to describe testing methodology, referencing frameworks like OWASP, PTEs, or NIST. You should also list the tools you used like Nmap, Bob Suite, Metasploit, and others. And lastly, you should include a timeline with start date, end date, and total testing hours. The third section is technical findings. Typically, this is just like 10 to 30 pages. It contains detailed vulnerability descriptions with severity ratings as critical, high, medium, or low. It includes proof of concept with screenshots. And here you list affected systems and services. Lastly, you reference CVIDs and CVSS scores where applicable. For section 4, that is remediation recommendations. And this is just like 5 to 10 pages. It provides step-by-step fix instructions, differentiates short-term versus long-term solutions, creates a prioritization timeline such as immediate fixes, 30-day fixes, 90-day fixes, or any other desired timeline, and it includes verification steps to confirm fixes work. And to the last section, which is appendices. Here we are going to have full scan outputs from tools such as Nmap, Nessus, and other tools. It includes raw tool data, detailed methodology, and references to security standards. Now let's understand vulnerability assessment report writing. So here we are going to be clarifying the difference between vulnerability assessments and penetration tests. Let's start with vulnerability assessment. A vulnerability assessment identifies and lists vulnerabilities using automated scanning. There is no exploitation or proof of concept for vulnerability assessment. Also, the focus is what vulnerabilities exist. And you can use tools like Nessus, OpenVars, or Collies to do this. The deliverable is a vulnerability list with severity rating. Now let's move to penetration test. Penetration test identifies exploits and chains vulnerabilities together. For pen test, you prove real-world impact with actual exploitation, and the focus is what can an attacker actually do. Also, you use tools like Metasploit, Bobsuite, and OWASP-Zap for manual and automated testing, and the deliverable is a comprehensive attack narrative showing exploitation paths. Now let's consider the four sections of vulnerability assessment reports. The first one is executive summary, and this shows total vulnerabilities found by severity. It identifies the most critical systems and services and documents compliance status if applicable. The second one is vulnerability summary, and this breaks down findings by severity such as critical, high, medium, low, and informational. It also includes trend analysis compared to previous scans. The next one is the detailed findings. This documents each vulnerability with its title and CVE ID, CVSS score, and severity rating. It also documents affected systems with host names or IP addresses, description and impact, remediation steps, and references to standards. Lastly, we have the remediation roadmap, and this creates a prioritized fix schedule. It estimates resource requirements and projects an expected timeline for completion. Now let's move to executive summary best practices. Writing for non-technical executives requires a different approach, and here is what you should do. The first one, use business language, not technical jargon. Secondly, focus on risk and impact, not technical details or mechanics. Thirdly, quantify. Let them know the number of things you found. For example, you can have 5 critical vulnerabilities expose 2 million customer records. You can see the quantity there. You can see the 5 critical vulnerabilities and you can see the 2 million customer records. Quantifying makes executives understand better and easily when reading your report. Next, include visual aids such as charts and severity breakdowns. Also, lead with overall security posture rating, and you should keep it to 1 to 2 pages at maximum. Now, here is what you shouldn't do. Number 1, do not use technical terms like SQL injection, buffer overflow, or CVE numbers. Also, do not include command output or code snippets. Do not assume the reader has technical knowledge, and let it not be longer than 2 pages. Do not bury critical findings deep in paragraphs. Ensure that it comes up quite early. Lastly, do not use unexplained acronyms or vendor terminology. If you're using any acronym, ensure that you explain the acronym in the report. Now let's consider good versus bad example in executive language. For bad example, you can write something like CV 2024-12345, or you write CVSS 9.8 Boolean-based blind SQL injection via username parameter. But if you want to write it very well, you can say critical flaw allows attackers to access the customer database containing 2 million records. An immediate fix is required. You can see that this is clear and simple. Very easy to understand. Let's now move to technical finding structure. For each vulnerability, you will document 8 specific elements. The number 1 is the title, and here you must use a clear descriptive name. Example is SQL injection in customer login portal. Simple. Number 2 is severity rating. Here, you are going to use critical, high, medium, low, or informational based on CVSS score, exploitability, and business impact. Number 3 are affected systems. And here you list host names, IP addresses, and URLs. Example includes web01.company.com at 192.168.1.100. Or if it is an endpoint, you can add / login endpoint. Just make it as simple as that. Number 4 is description. And here you explain what the vulnerability is in plain language. You explain why it exists, whether it's a misconfiguration, outdated software, or design flaw. An example of this is the login form does not properly validate user input, and this allows attackers to inject malicious database commands. Very simple and clear. Number 5 is impact, and here you describe what an attacker can do and the business consequences. Example of this could be attackers can bypass authentication, access customer records, modify data, or delete the entire database. And number 6 is proof of concept, and here you provide step-by-step reproduction steps. You are going to include screenshots showing successful exploitation. You are also going to show command or payload used, and you should sanitize it if it contains sensitive information. Number 7 is remediation. Here, you are going to give specific fix instructions. Example could be implement parameterized queries, also call prepare statements in login.php, or something like upgrade to library version 2.3.1 or later. Number 8 is references, and here you should add CVE IDs, CWE numbers, OWASP links, vendor advisories, and relevant industry standards like PCI DSS requirement 6.5.1. Now let's move to severity ratings and prioritization in report writing. Understanding severity rating is critical for prioritization. And CVSS, which is the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, is what we use for that. And this scoring system uses a scale of 0 to 10. The first one we'll consider for CVSS is critical severity, and this is in between 9.0 to 10.0. It includes remote code execution on internet-facing systems, authentication bypass on critical systems, and direct access to sensitive data like personally identifiable information, payment cards, or credentials. Example could be unauthenticated SQL injection on a customer database. The next one is high severity, and this is in between 7.0 to 8.9. It includes privilege escalation from regular user to administrator, sensitive information disclosure, and significant security control bypass. An example could be cross-site scripting allowing session hijacking. The next one is medium severity, and this ranges between 4.0 to 6.9. It includes information leakage of non-sensitive data, denial of service vulnerabilities, and security misconfigurations with limited impact. Example could be directory listing enabled on a web server. Next, we have low severity, and this ranges in between 0.1 to 3.9. This includes minor information disclosure, best practice violations, and low impact configuration issues. Examples includes verbose error messages revealing software versions. Another one is informational. We didn't add that here because CVSS scores it 0.0. But it is part of the severity rating too, because even though it doesn't have a direct security impact, it can include security observations and recommendations. Example could be HTTP security headers missing. But CVSS is not everything. So we need to consider prioritization factors beyond the CVSS or beyond the score. And the first one under that is exploitability. And here we're asking ourselves, is public exploit code available? The next one is exposure. Here we're asking ourselves that, is it internet facing or internal only? Next is data sensitivity. Here we're asking ourselves, does it protect personally identifiable information, financial data, or intellectual property? And lastly, we have the business criticality or business impact. And here we're asking ourselves, is it a production system or a test environment? Now let's consider proof of concept guidelines. Proof of concept demonstrations serve four purposes. They prove the vulnerability is real, not a false positive. They show actual business impact, they provide evidence for remediation priorities, and they demonstrate the attacker perspective. And here is what you should do for safe proof of concepts. The first thing is that use test or demo data. Never use sensitive data. Show that you can access data without actually exfiltrating it. Stop at proof of access. Don't pivot further without explicit permission. Take screenshots as evidence. Also, you should document exact steps for reproduction. And lastly, clean up afterward. Remove test files, uploaded shells, and created accounts. And here is what you should never do. Do not exfiltrate real customer data. Don't modify production data. Don't perform destructive actions like delete, encrypt, or wipe. Don't pivot to systems outside the agreed scope. Do not leave backdoors or persistent mechanisms. And don't share exploit details publicly before remediation is complete. Even after remediation is complete, you should not still share the exploit details unless there is a reason for that by the organization. For screenshots, follow these best practices. The first one is highlight relevant information with red boxes or arrows, include timestamps and URLs for context, blur or redact sensitive information like passwords or personally identifiable information. Also, show context like URL bar, command prompt, or application interface. Lastly, number screenshots sequentially for easy reference. Now, let's consider remediation recommendations. Good remediation guidance has four characteristics. The first one is that it must be specific. Don't say fix the SQL injection vulnerability, but say Replace string concatenation with parameterized queries using PDO prepare statements in login.php lines 45 through 52. That is well detailed, right? Yeah, it is. The next one is it must be prioritized. That is, there must be immediate fixes in 0 to 7 days for critical internet-facing vulnerabilities, short-term fixes in 30 days for high-severity internal vulnerabilities, and long fixes in 90 days for medium and low-severity issues and architectural changes. The third one is that it must be actionable. This means you should provide exact commands, configuration changes, and code fixes. Also provide links to official documentation. Lastly, include verification steps to confirm the fix works. The last one is that it must be layered using defense in depth principles. This means that we can have a short-term fix to patch the immediate vulnerability and maybe long-term fix to address the root cause and improve security architecture. Example could be something like immediate, and in front of it you add apply vendor patch. And secondly, you can have long-term, and in front of it you add implement web application firewall and impute validation framework. So here is a complete remediation template. Now let's cover the professional report checklist. The first one is formatting, and for this, you should use a professional template with company or client branding. Include a table of contents with page numbers, maintain consistent heading hierarchy such as H1, H2, H3, and so on. Number all findings for easy reference. Use color-coded severity ratings such as red for critical, orange for high, yellow for medium, blue for low, and green for informational. The second one is content quality, and for this, spell check and grammar check. No typos allowed. Also verify technical accuracy, ensure screenshots are clear and annotated, never expose sensitive client data, and use consistent terminology throughout the entire report. The third one is deliverables, and this should include executive summary as a PDF, full technical report as a PDF, raw scan data in a separate encrypted archive, and a remediation tracking spreadsheet. The last one is before delivery, and this means that before delivery you should complete these checks. 1. Peer review by a senior team member, verification of client name and details, confirming all findings are verified and reproducible, encrypting the report using password protected PDF or PGP, and using a secure delivery method like encrypted email or secure portal. That's all for this lesson. And before we go, here is a challenge question. And the question is, what are the 4 characteristics of good remediation guidance? I repeat, what are the 4 characteristics of good remediation guidance? I'll be waiting to get the answer to the challenge question in the comment section. Also, do not forget to like, share, and comment. Lastly, do not forget to continue to enjoy cybersecurity. Thank you so much. Bye.